Hello and welcome back or to my channel. My name is Faiza, and this will be part 3 of the X-Files. Bismillah. Now, after breakfast, Pan drives me home, and the ride was quiet. And then Pan breaks the silence by talking about the flowers that he had bought me my first date and then the second date, and that I had not taken with me. He sort of like assumed, which he assumed correctly, that I was not going to take the flowers with me. So he's like, I'll just hold on to them for you. And he was right. I had no way of explaining where I got all those roses from, so I would not have brought them in, because naturally my family would assume that that was from a guy, and they would have assumed correctly. So I could not bring them in, and I couldn't pass it off even. Somebody might say, well, you could have just passed it off that you bought them for yourself. First of all, I didn't have that type of self-love. Okay, let's start there, as if you didn't know. If the story has not shown that, or made that clear enough. Oh, I would not have done that. That's number one. But number two, I didn't have the masari to do that at that time. All right, to buy those kind of flowers, to even buy a bouquet like that. I did not have the masari to do it. All right, I didn't even have the money that if I wanted to jump into an Uber or a cab or anything to get away from Pan, I didn't have the money to do that. It's a little embarrassing to some to hear that. They might be like, what the fuck? That's embarrassing. You didn't have enough money to just jump into a car and get away from him. No, when I say I was broke, that's what I mean. I was broke. This is exactly why I tell women, don't get into a relationship at all until you can afford to pay for the necessities. And the necessities are that if you need to get away from this guy, jump on a plane, jump on a train, car, whatever it is, you have the money to be able to do that. You have to be able to protect yourself in that way. And having your own masari will help you do that. At that time, it's not that I didn't have that perspective. I did want to have my own masari. I wanted my own independence, but I hadn't had that just yet. I was still building, trying to even find out what it meant to have a life outside of go get married. And that's all women were prepared for. Go get married. Go get a husband to help take care of you. Go from your father taking care of you to your husband taking care of you. And then take care of your kids. I cannot stress enough, ladies. Have your own. Do not ever be fully dependent on a man and his money. So you have a ring on it, and I'm talking about that you've already been married, not engagements, because engagements can be broken. Okay, don't think that when engaged, it's good for you. Congratulations. When you get down the aisle, you've signed your signature, everything's good. It's legal, then you can depend on his finances, and you should feel fine and safe to do so, because that's his job. What else is he there for? Pan knew this. Pan knew I wasn't like in the best. I mean, obviously, he went to pick me up in the neighborhood I lived in. I was not in a good financial position, but he didn't care. He loved that I was hustling. He loved that I was working so hard towards a dream and a desire to help. So even though the combination would have been like, not attractive to most people in the community, Pan did not care. When he made the comment about the flowers, I really didn't say much. I just sort of was like, yeah, okay. I had really looking back, I shut off, and we drive a little bit more, still no talking. And then he decides again to break the silence, but not this time with words. He puts on a song, and he puts on a song that for the longest time was a no. I couldn't even listen to it, nothing, which was sad because it was like a song from my generation, and he had destroyed that. And I felt so about it for so long. That changed last year. But the song was Munaya by Mustafa Amar. And I'm going to put it here so you can check it up, and if you want to listen to it. It's a beautiful song. And I remember him serenading and touching my hand and kissing my hand and really trying to soften this moment that was very icy and wasn't working. We're pulling up to the block where he's going to drop me off so I can walk home. All I'm thinking is, please don't lock the doors. I just wanted to leave the car. Just wanted to get out. And he leans over and he says, "What's next?" I didn't really understand what it meant, to be honest. I'm like, well, what do you mean by what's next? I know what's next for me. I'm getting out of this car, getting inside that house. I didn't say anything. I just opened the door, and when it was able to open, I was like, Alhamdulillah ya Rab, Alhamdulillah ya Rab. Got out, closed the door, started walking down the block. And as I'm walking down the block, I get to the middle, and I turn back and I see that he's still there. And if this was one of those romantic movies, the girl looks back and here he is watching. It's oh, so romantic. Everything's amazing. That's not what happened here. I looked back and all I saw was a monster. A monster. I walk up to the house, still see his car there. At this point, that's when I see the tail, the backside of it go. And I go inside. There is a difference felt when you leave the house a verified V, and then you walk back into your home, not one. I couldn't even look at anybody in my family. I felt so disgusted because I had done everything I thought I would never do. And the worst part about it is I couldn't explain why I had done it, why I had felt that was the moment to do it, the man to do it with, the time. I couldn't answer that. And that made it harder. Everywhere I walked throughout the house felt like a walk of shame. Really, that's what it felt like. Everywhere I went, everywhere I turned, I'm talking the talk of shame, the walk of shame, the standing of shame. Everything was shameful. I felt so much shame because, like, not only because the culture and the religious belief, but my family also, my mom and my dad. Like, my dad was my mom's first boyfriend. And they dated with my grandmother, my uncle sitting right there, watching the whole date the whole time. So even if they came from different cultures, my mom and dad still had the same perspective on, women don't date outside of marriage. And if you do, there has to be a chaperone there. You do not have premarital shish kebabbing. You know what I mean by shish kebabbing, right? You have no premarital shish kebabbing. You're not sitting around having anything with a guy alone. You're not even putting yourself in that type of position. I remember that night, I did not sleep. All I was thinking about was these questions like, why did you do it? Not even just why did you do it? Because the why did you do it haunted me throughout. But that night, what really haunted me was, did you want to do it? And if you did, what does that say about you? The thought of, well, you wanted to do that. Just the idea that I would want that made me feel like a whore. Like, we're not even supposed to be thinking these thoughts. And here I was acting on them. I didn't know what it said about me. I did not know what it said about me. I couldn't answer a lot of things for myself. So naturally, I felt like that cultural perspective of you're a sharmuta, you're a whore, and you shouldn't have done this. And, when I tell you guys, I know I keep saying this, but when I say I hated myself, I hated myself. Now, the worst part about it also was that there was nobody to turn to. It's not like I could turn to my mom, who thought I was a virgin, who wasn't dating anybody, and say, hey, why am I feeling this way? And help me and guide me, give me some sort of tools on what to do next. Nobody couldn't turn to. My sisters couldn't turn to. My cousins couldn't turn to anybody. Some people would say, well, go turn to God. Well, I tried that. I did not feel like that door was open. I was judging myself too much to let alone to turn to God and be like, hi, even though you kept telling me not to do this, I did it. Now, how do I get out of this? So there was nobody I could trust, nobody I could turn to at all, which only made it even more isolating. And the next morning, I woke up with such a strength. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with this guy. I'm not going to text him. I'm not going to call him. No emails, nothing. You will never see my face again. And I was very confident in that. Very confident. So much so that he would call, he would text, ignore. And for anybody watching this, if you're in that circumstance, block. At that time, I had that stupid, emotionally driven perspective of, it's such an extreme to block somebody. Don't block them. Block them. Change your number even if you have to. Just get them out, all right? I didn't do that, but I did ignore. Didn't want to answer at all. Could I have just answered the phone and been like, listen, don't call me, we're done? Sure, but I couldn't even speak to this guy. I couldn't even hear his voice. I was disgusted. I was like, you're not even going to hear my voice again. How's that? Done. Bye. Completely ignoring him made me feel very powerful. And not like in a petty way, like, haha, I've got the power. More so like I was performing an exorcism and I was flushing myself of pan. So the more that I flushed, the better I felt. So some days I would like feel him. And at this time I didn't understand why that was happening. There were moments I would question, like, does this mean he's my soulmate? Why else would this be happening? I didn't know what I know now and what I teach all of you and would tell any of you watching this right now. If you share your body with a man, there's not just a physical connection made when you share yourself with somebody, okay? There's also a spiritual connection. I didn't know that at that time, all right? So I was like, gosh, why am I feeling this? Does this mean this person's my soulmate? Why can't I get this person out of my head? I didn't know. This is just a natural flushing process that has to happen as you are exorcising a demon out of your life, okay? So if any of you can relate to anything I just said about this, and you have that desire where you're longing for this person, thinking about this person, almost to an obsessive nature, Just remember, that's just the natural flushing process, especially for my verified Vs, who this may be the person that you gave your V card to. At that point, you're even more connected to them. So just give yourself time to just naturally flush. It's all part of the process. Don't think that means you have to run back to this person, even though I did. But I was stupid. Learn from my mistakes, please. One day, we're having family barbecue. And my sister's making burgers, hot dogs, and she gives a piece of the hot dog to a stray cat that came into the backyard. And even though there's no correlation between me looking at a stray cat and having the thought I'm about to share with you, it was just at that moment that I remember feeling like, gosh, I could do this. Like, I could move forward with my life. I don't need this person at all. I don't need all that guilt and shame. Like, everything you sit around and write about, honey, and all that strength you have in your words, like, find a way to manifest that into your life. I felt like I was doing that. I felt like I could do this. And even though I wasn't a verified V anymore, I had this perspective of, well, again, I'm just being honest here. I told you guys, no matter how it makes me look, I'm going to be honest. I thought, well, I'll just lie about it. He asked me, are you a virgin? I would say, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Of course, I'm a 40-year-old woman now who can say that's very much in correlation with the way Allah, God, protects women in this religion and the way that the culture does not. And that is, if a man asks a woman if she's a virgin, she says nothing. You don't share. You don't say anything. He insists, tell him a lie, honey. So we're at this barbecue and I'm having this moment, this like sort of like epiphany, like, oh, I could do this all by myself. And Pan texts me. And he says, I'm down the street in our spot. Come out, or I'm going to come up to your house, ring the doorbell, knock on the door, whatever I need to do for us to talk. When I tell you guys that I was terrified, all I'm thinking is he knows what house I live in now. So now he can easily come up. But the fact that he will come up here and he will ring on that doorbell and knock on that door and say, I want to speak to Faiza. And of course, my family would wonder, who the fuck is this guy showing up in our house here with this familiarity with Faiza? Like, they must have a past, right? I'm not even supposed to be dating the guy. I'm not even supposed to be talking to the guy. And he's going to walk up to the house and do that? Guys, I didn't know even what to do. I was panicking. And imagine the fact that you're panicking like this, but you're also sitting around your family that you can't show any emotion to. So you're kind of like having this internal panic. Okay, oh my gosh, what's going to happen right now? Is he outside the door? What's going on? I'm panicking, but holding it together. I go inside the house, get to the bathroom, and I call him and I'm begging him. Begging this guy. I mean, begging. Please don't show up. Please don't do that. He's like, fine, meet me tomorrow though. And I agreed, of course, because at this point, new fear unlocked. The next day, I trained it down to the AMC River East. And he drives around to come pick me up. And he's like, just jump in the car. We're going to go for a drive. So I put up a protest at first. I'm like, no, let's go for a walk. Let's get around the block, do something. I just did not want to get in his car. That fear that he would just get in the car and lock the doors again, it just stuck with me. And I'm like, I don't want to be in that type of position. So a protest didn't last long. I just ended up caving and agreeing for him to come pick me up. And as I see his car come around, I don't have that same thrill, that excitement, that, oh my gosh, here he is. Comes up, parks, gets out of the car. Again, same routine. His opening the door and me getting in was opening the door for the vampire to re-enter my life. We drive around. First it's quiet. And then he says to me, are we going to talk? And I was very cold. I'm like, talk, say what you need to say here, like John Mayer. And he says to me, I'm sorry that I made you feel like you weren't good enough. And then he looks at me and he says, sometimes I just say stupid things. Ask anybody that knows me. That's how I am. I don't mean it. I don't even know why I do it. And then he ends it with something that Classic manipulation. Didn't know this at that time, but if you hear this, if you hear a man say this, run. And that is, you make me calm. If you see a man who is not in control of his emotions, not in control of himself, and you have to be the one to calm that chaos, run. Okay, run. Because in reality, what that translates to is you're responsible for managing my chaos, my growth, my regulation, my healing, all on you. It's a complete disconnect from any real responsibility for who they are, how they act, how they speak, how they treat people. It's run if you ever hear anybody say this. I should have ran. But back then I didn't have the wisdom and the knowledge that I have that I'm sharing with all of you. I didn't have somebody to tell me that, right? I just saw it as, wow, look at this man in this storm. I could be his umbrella. You know, that's what I saw. I was very flattered by it. It wasn't a red flag. It was a green flag for me. Imagine, you know, that should tell you how much I loved myself, that would be a green flag. So I went back. But I also think a part of me hoped that it would be different, that he seemed so sincere, and I had never had somebody who hurt me ever come to me with a real sincere apology like that. And so I'm like, wow, like this seems like he really is sorry. It seems like he's really taking accountability for what happened and he's going to change it. I bought it. Pan, he's like, you know, I really want to meet your family. Like, I meet your family, you meet my family, let's do things right. The right way a Muslim girl and a Muslim guy get to know each other is go through your family. It's the surest way to protect a woman's reputation, because the guy's not going to have his reputation destroyed if people find out they're dating, but the woman would be completely destroyed. So you do have to, you know, again, so this was really his way of protecting me. How insistent he was should have made me feel flattered, really. And it should have been everything that I would have wanted to hear. Most Musrab girls, that's what they want to hear. Let's get married, right? Nobody wants to date long term. Except me. At that time, okay, I had no interest, nothing. Even today, I'm still working through the thought of marriage. Okay, but at this time especially, zero interest in I do. Had a lot of room for I don't. I just said, I'm not ready and I need more time. I need to think about this, you know. The best part about it too is Pan had read my writing. I've explained this in previous parts about how my whole journey when it came to writing was exploring the topics, asking the questions about what marriage, love, about a woman deciding to do things on her terms. Whether she wants to get married, doesn't want to get married, maybe she wants to date, marry a guy outside of the culture. Like, that's her right. And so that actually served me well, because Pan said, I knew you were going to say that. Everything I had said about, like, I'm not ready, I need more time, I'm still thinking about it, I like to take, you know, I want to take this very slow, this is my first experience in that. He completely understood. And so he supported me in that. But of course we had to lay low, do the whole Navy SEAL mission relationship, don't go anywhere we can see muzzies or muzrabs, like just be private. At that point, we were both on the same exact page. All right. This is probably one of the first and only times we were ever on the same page. Both agreed we were going to continue to get to know each other, keep it private till truly I felt comfortable to get family involved. Now, from that point on, we saw each other every single day. Every single day. Until today, I look back at that. I'm like, that is crazy. I do not know how we even made that time, but we saw each other every single day. Whether we were going to restaurants, movies, golfing, doesn't matter. We were out all the time. We saw each other. And when you're seeing somebody that often, which I don't suggest when it comes to relationship, you know, have a moment to breathe. It's only natural, and that's why I say take your time, because it's only natural when you're seeing somebody that often to become even more connected to that person. What made Pan so lovable was that I can ask him any questions, share any thought, put anything out there, and he thought it was amazing. He wanted to hear me. He wanted to listen. He always wanted to entertain. He always wanted me to know like how smart he thought I was, how much I can accomplish. He would say, you should get an office and take client consults and start doing this and start doing that. Like, he really had so much faith in me and what I was doing at that time. So much. I mean, tremendously. That's what it seemed like. There was so much support. And I loved that about Pan, that I could just feel like, oh my gosh, I can not only exist as me, but but I can also explore the sides of me that I'm normally judged for, that he will not judge. Like, he didn't care if I wanted to try a short dress and to see what that felt like, because I never had. I was a 28-year-old square. You know, I'm like, I want to see what that's like. And he was like, try it. You'll look amazing. I'll be the luckiest guy in the room. If I said women should be allowed to travel, they don't need to have a man there. Why do women always have to travel in this culture only when they get married? He would say, I agree. Like, there were no rules. And for a woman who lived, breathed rules her whole life, it felt like, oh my God. He made it that the ugly night we shared and the things he had said before, erased. Every day that we spent together, it went further and further back. Didn't matter as much anymore, because everything that I was seeing, everything I was experiencing was amazing. Like, he even loved my laugh, which was to me something that was like, wow, my gosh, because my dad hated my laugh. Allah yarhamu, but my dad hated my laugh. I still remember one time when I was a kid, and my sister and I were like having a laughing attack in the back seat, and I was like, again, laughing, and I have a loud laugh. My dad's like, stop laughing, you know. And I couldn't. The more my dad told me to stop laughing, the more I kept laughing. And he got so upset, and he pulled the car over, and he took me out of the car and opened the trunk and put me inside the trunk and closed it. I'm in the trunk, okay? And I can hear my sister like crying, like, Mama, get Faiza out of the trunk. She was like crying. And I'm in the trunk as we're driving down the street. As we're driving down the street, I'm in the trunk, still laughing. Clearly putting me in the trunk did not stop the laughter. And my dad pulled over, got me out, and, you know, day went on as normal. But to spend most of my life hearing about like how ugly something is, and then have somebody that you meet that had suddenly felt so familiar to you start telling you things that you're not used to hearing, like you have a beautiful laugh, and not only that, you can do whatever you want and go do it. I loved it, and I had started deeply falling for Pan. One night we decided to go watch a movie. That had become our favorite thing to do, and we got to the movie a little bit earlier, so we decided to like hang out in the car. Now, Pan had this like luxury vehicle that had all these like different compartments, right? And for whatever reason, I started like going through the compartments, like making jokes like, oh, what's in here? And oh, what's in there? And oh, what's in this? And I opened one compartment, and there's a pair of women's Gucci sunglasses. Pan reaches across, grabs the sunglasses, puts them in the glove compartment, and then sits like over it like this, like both of his arms on it. And I'm sitting looking at this guy like, what was that? Was that supposed to make me forget the fact that I just found a pair of women's Gucci sunglasses in your car? I'm like, okay, what was that? Whose glasses are those? And he starts laughing. Look at your face. Look how angry you're getting. So I tried to get out of the car. He locks the doors. Child lock. Until today, I'm 40 years old. It has been years since this happened, okay? 10 years since I decided to leave this abusive relationship. And until today, looking back at that moment and the claustrophobia of being locked in a car with somebody that you do not want to be in a car with at that moment, when you just need a breath of fresh air, when you need to just walk it off and you are locked there, is so suffocating. And he goes, you're not leaving till we have this conversation. And I'm like, well, let's have it. Yeah, let's do that. Whose glasses are these, right? And then he says to me that they belong to his ex. And I find out that he and her met earlier that day to get closure. You know, she wanted to get closure. And he felt that the right and responsible Muslim thing to do was to give closure to her, right? So she could move on with her life. This is what he tells me. And I just remember sitting there thinking like, she sat in this chair that I'm now in. And why were her sunglasses off her head? If her sunglasses came off, they must have come off for a reason. And he insists, we were just talking. And I said, like, sarcastically, I'm like, were you just talking? Really? Just talking? Like, and then he snaps immediately. And he's like, that's haram to say. This girl's a virgin. We were dating for 2 years and we never even did anything. And he kept driving that home, which of course made me feel even more like a sharmuta, like a whore. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, they were dating for 2 years. And she's such a decent girl, as he kept saying, right? That she would never have even done something like that. And there was me sitting there, a 28-year-old woman who, after 2 days of knowing a guy, decided he was worthy of something I had been holding on to for years. Like, I felt horrible. But of course, he's saying, no, that she would never do that. So she's, I could be comfortable knowing that they were just sitting there talking because she would never have done anything like that. I would lie if I said that it didn't give me some comfort. I was kind of like, oh, okay, I guess that does make me feel more comfortable, because even if I can't necessarily trust him right now, I can trust that she held on to that for so long and she wasn't going to cross that line in that car that day with him. But we look at the time, movie's about to start, and he's like, oh my gosh, we got to go in. Let's go. We'll talk about this later. Again, everything was always just, let's keep moving forward. He just wanted the conversation to be done and just move forward and let's get on with it. I did. Got out of the car, went into the movie theater, but once again, I had felt very disconnected in that moment, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm being lied to. I just took back a guy that, look what's happening right now. Even the way he said she needed closure, it just felt like he was trying to use that line to gain some sort of like moral high ground. Like I was supposed to like applaud him for being such a spiritual and gracious ex. And I don't know what hurt more, the fact that she was there or that I was so easily dismissed, that any concerns I had, any questions I have, he could just brush it off and just keep moving forward and treat me like I was overreacting. I was making, turning a raindrop into a tsunami. It felt like I had gone from being his whole life to just being another girl sitting in his car. So I shut down, for sure. He might as well have been walking around with a zombie. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what movie we watched. I couldn't tell you if it was a comedy or romance or horror movie. I do not know. I just know that somewhere in between it, I excused myself to go to the bathroom. I went, and as I'm coming out, who's standing there? Pan. I have a nervous laugh. So I had this moment where I kind of like chuckled, like, okay, hi, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm done with this movie. Let's go for a walk. Now, of course, if this ever happens to you ladies, there's no coincidence in that. He got out to go make sure I wasn't leaving. Okay? That's why he stood outside that bathroom. To make sure I was not leaving. All right? But at that time, I thought, oh, well, yeah. I mean, maybe he was standing there because he wants to go for a walk and the movie sucks. It was in this walk that I used that opportunity to ask all the questions I had. Like, more about the ex, why they had broken up, what were they meeting for, what was the closure, did he still have any connection to her, did he want things to work with her, was she hoping things would continue to work? Pan said that they had met and they were together for 2 years, but somewhere in between the 2 years they realized that they weren't going to work out, and rather than keeping each other in this relationship, they were going to break up, go their separate ways. He kept insisting that the closure was very basic, like just two people who just wanted to speak their piece because they'd been together for 2 years, and that was it. It made sense to me at that time. Of course, looking back now, I'm like, what the fuck is that? But at that time, I sort of let it go, and the only thing I was really focused on is them not seeing each other anymore. I was very honest. I told him I don't want you seeing her anymore. And he said, well, I'm probably going to have to meet up with her just to give her the sunglasses, and that's it. Now, I felt like that was the whole reason she even kept the sunglasses there. Like, that's where my mind went. My mind is like, she kept the sunglasses so they have a reason to see each other again, and that's it. You're in a relationship. Tell her you're in a relationship. This is my mentality. Like, you need to tell her that. So I get really upset, and I tell him to throw the sunglasses away. And Pan goes, I'm not going to throw away Gucci sunglasses. Are you crazy? You just take them. And I'm like, I'm not going to take your ex's sunglasses and look through the same lens she was looking through. At this time, my mentality was the glasses are an excuse to see each other. Throw them away. And if she asks you where they are, they're not in your car. You don't know. Maybe she left them someplace else. And if she continuously insists, then that must mean she knows she left them there and she wanted to meet up. So throw them away. Would I have to handle things differently now? Of course. I wouldn't have even been with somebody like this. Pan walks over to the car, grabs the sunglasses, and walks over, throws them in the trash. It's like this girl had some sort of tracking device on these Gucci sunglasses, because the moment they hit that trash, she starts hitting up his phone, calling. He's ignoring. And I'm like, why is she calling your phone? And he's like, oh, it's probably because of the sunglasses, right? And it didn't feel like it was about the sunglasses, but it was very probable that it was about the sunglasses. So he's like, let's go to the car. I'm going to call her back, and you're going to hear the conversation, so you have nothing to worry about. And I tell him, close this door. The door's only open because you're keeping it open for her, all right? And he's like, no, I'm not. We were just getting closure done. But also, a little part of me was like, oh, okay, he's going to call her right here. I mean, he must not have anything to hide if we're going to be sitting here having that conversation together. We get in the car. He calls her back. And, oh, gosh, guys, my heart sunk. Like, it's odd to hear the voice of the person your partner was in a relationship with. Like, I was listening to the voice of a woman that he must have said, I love you to, that he must have. I mean, I didn't think that they were intimate at this point. So I'm thinking, all right, that they had never shared that together, but they were in a relationship for 2 years and they must have loved one another. And here I am listening to her voice say hello. And even her voice was very soft. You know, my voice is very deep. And I immediately started comparing, like, oh, he probably likes her voice because her voice is so soft and sounds so womanly and dainty, and mine is so, like, deep. And and she's like, hey, how are you? How is your day going? What are you up to? Like, the conversation's very casual. And I'm listening to the conversation go on, and the questions that she's asking that have nothing to do with the sunglasses at all. No sunglasses were spoken about at all. And even though Pan's like answering the questions, not giving much substance, he's just like, hey, I'm chilling. Yeah, it's very cold. It's still very routine for them. She goes, do you really want me to stop calling you? And I only felt confirmed. Like, there it is. Yep, they do talk. And Pan says, yeah. And she goes, are you in a relationship? And he says, yes. And she starts going to this question, like, is it anybody that I know? Is it someone from the community? Who is it? And she's asking questions. And he's like, it's nobody that you know. And she asks if it's serious. And then Pan goes, I'm not going to answer any more of your questions. I'm going to respect my girl, my relationship. And I just don't call my phone anymore. He was very stern about it. And that made me feel like, oh, okay, see, he's taking this serious. So even if I was hurt, even if I was offended, even if I was upset, I felt like, oh, okay, well, at least he's respecting the relationship and he's making it very clear to set that boundary. And I'm hearing it. He's like, I'm going to let you go. And then she's like, all right, bye. And I mean, the whole thing was fucked up. Did I see that? No, I did not. Because the chaos of it all, the pain, the hurt, the need for validation, the adrenaline rush of it all, it was all so familiar.